Welcome back, Raider fans. As I mentioned before the break, we're now joined with head baseball coach Doug Martin, who enters his, or actually, like I said, in the middle of your sixth season. We're already in March here. Coach, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, well, appreciate it again, as always. Glad to be here.
Well, Coach, you have really done a great job in building this program. As I mentioned, this is your sixth year now. But I want to take a step back before, again, we get into this year's team and really talk about your program as a whole. And I'd first like to ask you, what characteristics do you feel sets the Raider baseball program apart from most other programs?
Right. Well, I guess the word consistency probably comes to mind first. Just the consistency of the daily routine. Right. And it's not just going out to the field and playing catch and hitting the ball and running a little bit. I mean, it starts, in the morning when they get up and or going to breakfast together as a team, and then going to class and getting the tutoring help throughout the day with our academic center, and and it includes the weight program, the training that goes along with that, and then also, of course, the baseball. But I think it's just from sun up to sundown, we're always trying to better ourselves as a program, and it's not just about the baseball aspect. It's about the whole program in general. Right,
and I can echo that. If I go through the student union and I notice go through the academic success center at any given time, there's about a handful of baseball players in there getting help. You guys have done a great job in the classroom, and I know, as you mentioned, you're always working and to improve in the weight room and things of that nature. So I definitely got to give you a lot of credit in that regard. Now, let's talk about the recruiting side of your program. When you recruit a student athlete, what are you looking for out of that student athlete, and what can that student athlete expect to have out of his experience at Northwest Florida State College?
Right. I think the thing that we look for in terms of players is kids who want to be the best that they can be, and use our level of baseball, the junior college level of baseball, as a sort of like a stepping stone and maybe their next step in development to ultimately reach the highest level that they can possibly go. Whether, some of them it's professional baseball. We have some of those guys that do that. For others, it may be the Division I level, or whatever level that they're capable of getting to eventually at their potential, using our program as that next step to get there. And so we want motivated kids that are not just satisfied, well, hey, I've got a junior college opportunity, a scholarship, and I'm good with that. I played in college. We want the guys that aspire to be better than that, and so I think that's something that sticks out. And I want to go back to what you were saying in terms of giving me credit for a lot of the whole day in, day out routine, from the study hall to the training and all that. We have a great support system, and it starts with your leadership in athletics, but it reaches out to the academic center with Rudy Humphreys and Morgan Francine that works in our cafeteria, and it just goes on and on. Mo Methvin in our training area does a great job, and Dr. Fox also with that. And so what we want to do is make sure that the people who are considering our program is we have an umbrella of people that really look out for the best interests of our kids. Yeah, it's a family. It's not one person, trust me. It is a group of people that do the work. Right.
And so, you kind of alluded to, and just a second ago, you've had a lot of success sending kids to the next level, whether it be the four-year schools or the professional ranks. I think, it's an unbelievable number the last 4 or 5 years that you've sent, and that's something you've really got to be proud of.
Sure. Well, again, you're trying to take the kid, when you get them from the high school level, that aspires to get to the next step. And I think that, we're just a stepping stone in that development, whether if it's on the field, off the field, athletically, academically, just develop them mentally or whatnot, just a year or so or two of maturity. Those are the kind of guys that you've mentioned that have moved on. I think they have taken advantage of the opportunities throughout our whole program to use it to get to that point. So, we're proud about that. That is one of our big missions, is to give them the next chance. As but in another sense, the same time, still being able to perform while they're with us and hopefully have a very quality championship type of a team while they're with us as well. So.
Right. You know, I think one of your first kids that you signed, you know, in your program here was Daniel Webb, who now actually made the major leagues last year, which is tremendous.
Sure. Yeah, we were real happy. He's the first Northwest Florida State College kid. I mean, we had some Okaloosa Walton College.
That's right.
The name has changed. As a matter of fact, there was 2 Raiders on that pitching staff with the White Sox towards the end of the year.
That's
so,
right.
you know, we were really proud of Daniel, and you know, he had some development to go through with us. He had some good and bad times with us, but I think ultimately, and he would tell you that, you know, he used it to better himself to get where he is today.
Absolutely. And I'd also be remiss if we didn't mention Danny Collins, who had a tremendous career for us and also at Troy. He just got honored at the All Sports Association and got drafted last year high in the Major League draft, so we're very proud of him as well.
Absolutely. Danny's been coming out a little bit with us to work out and get ready. I think he's going off to spring training either late this week or early next week. So always glad to have those guys come back and kind of share some information with our current players to kind of help them along.
Right.
And Danny's done a good job with that. We've been glad to have him out there with us.
Well, let's get into this year's team. You know, very excited about this year's group. We're 11-4 right now. We've played some tremendous schedule. We opened up with perennial power in Sanjack. And then we just recently, you know, one of those 11 wins was against Central Alabama, the defending national champions. And so you've played a daunting schedule in the month of February, but how would you assess the month? I mean, you know, you're already 11-4, and now we turn the page to March. Right.
Yeah, I think in evaluating those first 15 games, I think we would kind of look at it and say, you know, we are 11-4, but you know, there was opportunities to really be 15-0.
Right.
And then there's probably some chances to lose a few of those games that we won. And so what we try to tell our guys is early on in our evaluation of where we're at, I think that, you know, our baseball team is capable of when they say play ball, is capable of competing against anybody. I mean, when you bring the defending national champion team in here and have a good, you know, couple of games against those guys, and you mentioned San Jacinto, Georgia Perimeter is another school that's nationally ranked that we've competed well against, and I think our team understands that they are capable and are good enough to compete against anybody. Now, you know, at the same time, if we come out there and we just kind of go through the motions or roll, you know, just roll the ball out there or whatnot. Also, there's really nobody on our schedule that you know, that's not capable of beating us if we're not ready to play. So I think we're really just kind of, you know, early on just searching for that consistency in our game. I think there's some good moments that we've had, but you know, I also think there's some things that we certainly need to address and do better and be more consistent as the conference draws near.
Right. You know, I think one thing that stands out to me this year is the competitiveness and the toughness that your group has. You know, it's just that right amount, right combination of both of them that we've seen so far in the month of February, and that's really got to bode well as we get into conference season, because ultimately those are very underrated characteristics of a team.
Right. Well, I mean, it's going to make the big difference when adversity hits us.
Right.
You know, you have to have competitive kids on the field for you, and to be able to overcome the bad, because it's going to happen. I mean, we face really good teams in our league. There's not a bad team that's in our league this year, as it usually is the case, and so it's not going to always look good. It's not going to always go right for our group, but if you have competitive kids that are willing to fight and not give up the battle, then we can overcome some of the bad. And that's a big key to having a good baseball team, because there's usually just a ton of adversity in almost every game that you play. And if you dwell on what you're not doing well, it's going to really affect the opportunity to do stuff that you need to do to win the game. So I like that part of the team, and I think we got some guys that can, you know, help with that in terms of leadership to pull maybe hopefully even more kids to that level.
Absolutely. And then another thing that bodes well for your program this year is the fact that you have an excellent pitching staff. Your pitching staff, your team ERA is amongst the lowest in the state, and so you have a lot of weapons, a lot of diversity in that regard, and so I think that's something you got to be excited about as well.
Right. Well, we have 9 pitchers that have thrown for us to this point, and I think the unique thing about these guys, now 9 is really not a lot. I mean, there's you look at some statistics of other teams, and you know, some are throwing 10, 11, 12 guys. Well, we don't have, you know, the strength in numbers in terms of you know, guys, bodies, but all of the guys that have pitched have been able to contribute. That's something that's
right.
really good. You know, typically on a lot of staffs, if you have 9 or 10 or 11 guys, whatnot, you know, hopefully if you can get 5 or 6 of those guys that can really help you, then maybe you can get through it. But you know, to this point, you know, I haven't seen any of our pitchers that is you know, has not shown me signs that, hey man, he can't help you. I think there's some role that each one of these guys can play. So we may not have a ton of guys in terms of just numbers, but I do believe that the guys that we do have are all capable of making contributions inside the Panhandle Conference, which is something that we haven't had in a few years.
And you know, this year's format in the Panhandle Conference is a little bit different. The schedule really is the same, but now instead of 2 teams qualifying for the postseason, you got 3 teams qualifying, which is got to be something that's very exciting because the conference is so balanced. To get that 3rd team in, you never know. You get hot, and anything can happen down in Lakeland at the state tournament.
Right. Well, there's no questions. I mean, I've been in this league for now 16 years, and I can look back to the years that we have gone to the tournament, and just remember maybe that 3rd place team that did not make it, and then we start playing that tournament. And you look at it, and it gets, you know, you get finished with it, you sit back and start looking, you say, you know, there's really some other teams in our league that if they just would have qualified could have come down here and made a lot of noise. And so, you know, we have been fighting that, as you know, for several years to get a couple of more teams in the tournament. And, you know, we're really excited to do that. I've always kidded, you know, our softball and sometimes I think women's basketball too. I think softball gets 4 teams, you know, in that state tournament. So just don't finish last, and you get to go. So
well, and the 4th place team has actually gone on to win the thing.
Right,
so,
and that shows you how competitive that all of the sports are in our league. So we're very excited. Certainly, we're shooting to get in there as the number 1. But to be honest with you, I mean, we get in there and just compete, and if we're able to get one of those spots, we're going to go down there and try to represent well.
Absolutely. And, you know, as we wrap up here, we don't have a lot of time, but I do want to mention the fact that you do have a new coaching staff for you that's done a tremendous job. You got Brett Stewart, which is actually Coach Bruce Stewart's son. And you got Craig Rodriguez, who's doing a great job with the pitchers, and Andrew Franco as well. And so those guys have done and added a lot. I know we don't have a lot of time to talk about them, but I know you got to be excited about it.
Yeah, well, Brett and Andrew are local products from Niceville, and it's just a breath of fresh air. I think that was needed for our program. So we're very excited with what they're doing, and they're staying so positive with our kids, and I think it's really helping helping this group out.
Well, we're excited about them as well. And Coach, we look forward to great things. Like I said, I'm very excited to see what our team can do. I went out at practice yesterday, and boy, they were really getting after it. They got a great attitude, and they're very fun to watch. And so I encourage everybody to come out and watch them. Well, that wraps up our spring edition of the Raider Sports Beat. Thank you very much for joining us, and you can check out our schedules on NWFRaiders.com. Until next year, we'll see you at the games.
Northwest Florida State College presents Outlook, a public service presentation of the college and Cox Communications, focusing on the events, activities, and instructional programs of Northwest Florida State College.